Because I can guarantee you in our lifetime, maybe even right now, we go through trials. And as we talked about on Monday, we talked about there's two different types of trials. There is the trials we go through in our life when it comes to things such as relationships, dealing with family, dealing with health, dealing with finances, dealing with our mindset and limiting beliefs, our paths. And man, boy, is it not something when it comes to, our faith and the trials we go through there, or even when it comes to truly standing in, understanding, accepting, and not moving when it comes to our identity and our self-worth. And then there are trials when you feel like you're being persecuted. I'm just going to say it like that. When you feel like people are after you, they're giving you havoc, they are backstabbing you, they're putting you on blast, they're causing issues in your life, issues in your sleep, issues at your work, issues everywhere you go. You feel like you're in a constant trial by a court. Or you are in a constant trial by other people watching. And I've coached many people. We can do an amen on that when we've been there, where people not only want to sit there and put you through something, they want to make sure other people see it as well. Or they just don't want to deal with you. They want to make it a spectacle. Or they don't want to just put you through something and deal with the one issue. They want to go and affect your whole entire life and every part of your being. I guarantee you, we have been there. Okay, and again, whether you just came out of it, it's something you went through 2 years ago. And let me tell you, when you go through that kind of trial, man, somebody brings it up. You do one of those moments like, because you still feel it. You're still feeling that? Because I know I got a couple that, I'm still feeling those. I even still reference those sometimes because you don't forget those. And maybe there's even those of you right now, as we are speaking, while we are on live, or you're watching this video because it's gotten to you, that you're sitting there saying, Tracy, I'm being persecuted right now. Or Tracy, I am just getting out on the other side. And man, what I feel in that moment, what I feel right now, my heart, my body, my mind, my willpower, my belief and my faith is all tore up. Tracy, what do I do? When it comes to those moments of adversity, when it comes to those moments when we feel like all we're doing is swinging and our arms are tired, when we feel like just when we go and get a break, here comes another wave, or we feel like it's one thing after another, or my God, Tracy, 5 to 6 things are going on at one time. It is all about the trials of life and the trials of persecution that we go through. But again, that was just like Jesus, what he went through. We know that through the Bible. If you don't, then you need to read the gospel. He went through the same thing. He said, this is the life plan, y'all. This is what this is going to look like. But he also said what's going to look like at the end, though, too. And he also made some serious promises that we've got to stand on in moments of trials and persecutions and things that we go through, that we got to know that even though it's here in front of us, that the Lord is going to get us through. And in that moment that we feel it, in that moment that we're scared, in that moment we're overwhelmed, or man, let me tell you, when that crux side of you comes out and you really want to tell her what you think, or you really want to tell her what you think, or you really just want to go crazy because you know what is going on is something that is ripping you inside. We need to take a breath in that moment. We need to take a moment. We need to even take a time out if we need to compose ourselves and come to a place where we truly remember, wait a minute. First of all, who am I? Come on. Let me remember who I am. We're going to talk about that here in a second. And then let me remember what is happening and why it is happening. But let me also remember, no matter how intense this is, no matter how much it is knocking me to my knees and is changing my whole universe and my atmosphere, I am still a child of God. And my God is still on the throne. See, we got to go there. I'm going to sit here and tell you. Those things in our past and our identity in our past and the things that we created that we've got to maybe break down because this is what we built before. This is what other people saw before. This is the way we did things. Here comes the consequences. First of all, we got to break that down. We got to deal with those things. See, we can no longer act the same way. We can no longer react the same way. See, when things hit us, when things come at us, we can no longer approach things the same way. If you know you're struggling with something and you feel overwhelmed, but your status quo is to always retreat, is to always give up, is to always go and hide, or to always go and flee the scene, or to always act like, hey, I don't have any responsibilities, I don't have anything to do, and I'm just going to go, then I'm going to sit here and tell you, then you're going to have the same trials happen in your life. And not only are you going to be dealing with those trials, let me tell you what, every single action that you do has a reaction. Every single thing that you create and you build has a reaction. So when it comes to trials in your life, you don't just need to say, hey, it got done to me, so I can act this kind of way. Or this is what happened over here, so I'm justified in what I do. Because everything that swings at us, remember, what are we swinging back at it? So what I want to do is I want to go down a couple of things. Number one, we must know immediately that trials just don't happen to some people. It happens to everybody. Some of us take the trials that we go through and that happen in our life as it's just happening to us. The next thing I'm going to tell you about trials that I want to start off with is that when you are feeling persecuted, it's almost kind of like when a child is bullied. There's two things happening here. The one that's being bullied, there's an issue here that we got to deal with. But there's also an issue that's happening in the one that's doing the bullying. There are two things here. And sometimes when we're in trials, we just, and I'm going to use the word, fail to look at the other side. We fail to look at what's happening in their life. We fail to look at what's going on with them. We're feeling the way we are. We're being hurt. We're being persecuted. We're being broken down. Or this is too hard. We fail to look at the other thing. And the most effective times of being in trials, things we go through in life, and being persecuted is when you can get outside of your emotions. You can stop being so self-absorbed and in yourself. And you look at the other side. Because let me tell you, when you look at the other side, what happens? You learn something. You learn something not only when it comes to the situation, but you also become enlightened. You get new information. And on top of that, you become smarter and you become wiser. And the ultimate goal is you grow. This is what happens in moments like that. So again, trials happen to everybody. Happens to everybody all the time. But trials just don't happen to you. And remember how I started this power thought tonight. If we could just remember in that moment who we are, whose we are, who's still on the throne, and how he's for us and not against us, we can look at that situation completely different. We can maybe even go and take it, like I said on Monday, to him and ask him what to do about it and get the real power source activating in the situation. Before we go open our mouth, we go react. We go throw fire bombs at it. This is one of the things that we've really got to come to. And we really got to know in all circumstances, in all of them. Now, there's big trials with big convictions and there's small ones. Okay, there's different size of trials and different things that you go through in life. We've got to look at those trials that we go through as things that the Lord uses to grow us, to mold us, to deal with us, to convict us, to change us, to alter us. For what? For his plan. It's to get us to lean on him. It's to get us to realize that in those moments, who we are, who we're not, and who he is. And how the only way to persevere and to get through is going to be through him. We can't leap over it. We can't go around it. And we sure can't cover it up. And we sure can't turn around and ignore it. We got to face it. But if we know God is on our side, there is nothing to fear. And if we know that we are through him and aligned with him, there is nothing we're not going to gain. But we got to go through it. We got to go through that fire walk. We can't just keep tapping out. Or we can't just be showing out all the time. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And we can't be putting it on blast on Facebook either. That is not the way to deal with it. Or gossiping to other people about it. That's not the way to deal with it. Okay, so when we look at these trials in life, these are regular things that we're going to go through. To me, that's called sparring. It is the things that God is using for us to spar against so that we can truly become the warrior and the king and queen that we were designed to be. Because you can't be a king or a queen if you don't know how to war. You don't know how to fight. Because the first time that adversity comes up against you, what's going to happen? They're going to take your whole kingdom and everything in it, including your dreams and everything you worked for. So the Lord puts us through sparring to teach us how to be stronger, to strengthen our willpower, our belief, our identity, and our faith in Him. When you're sparring, okay, remember you are sparring, okay? It is so important that in those moments that you air it through and air it out, that you don't tap out. You will never learn what you need to learn if all you do in the first minute is say, I quit, I'm done. Because let me tell you how Daddy works, and a lot of you guys are about to say an amen. He will allow you to repeat it over and over and over and over again. Which means also when it comes to trials, all of them, the ones we go through in life and persecution, it is so important that you strategize. Don't just go react and do anything. But in those moments, if we focus on Him, I don't care what's going on, if we even go to Him, the key thing, as I said in the beginning, is remember that God's going to get us through. Which means the next thing when it comes to trials, things you go through in life and trials of persecution, always know there's always a lesson in it for you. There's a lesson there, but no, there's always one for you. You never get out of a situation and it was just about the other person. See, there is something in there for you. The Lord said that it is in our brokenness that He does His best work. It is in our weakness that He does His best work, where His strength can be glorified. It is in our empty vessel that the Lord can use more of. It is when we humble ourselves to Him that the Lord can lead and lead the way and keep leading the way. See, it is when we lose ourselves, as Paul says, we die to ourselves, when we lose. And we submit ourselves and surrender, as I said in the post. In order to be saved, we then become redeemed and we become free